Exactly. Well, hey, welcome to What's Up with the Cummings.
It's our weekly show. Yeah. We were on last Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday, which that's our new thing that we're doing now, is a little Sunday chat. And we're also trying to double stream at the same time with Facebook, for those of you that follow us on Facebook.
Yeah, shortly.
Yep. So anyway, gosh, Tuesday. God, I am so sore. It's like at 53, I forget I'm 53, and I try to like push myself like I'm 15. Shoulders and everything.
53.
53, I know.
Going on 54.
I know. Right? Same. My gosh, March and June 30th, I turned 54. But you know, you got to do what you got to do.
Looking good though. You're looking really good.
I think I could look better if I had some sort of hormone in my body. But you know, the fear of what synthetics do to your body. You know, when I was younger, I had no how do you call it? Hesitation, and I would
no
limits. I do all sorts of crazy things, but as you get older, and you know your mortality
kind of shows up,
you're like, maybe I shouldn't be playing around with stuff like that anymore. So just do the natural stuff,
right?
And you know, hope for the best. You know, not about vanity anyway. You know,
it's not.
You know, I mean, so we try to. Human beings are all screwed up, literally.
I was trying to do
a double whammy there. Yeah, human beings are like so. A lot of us, the majority of us, 99.9% are broken in somehow, some way, and we try to find our comfort with either food, alcohol, drugs, materialism, our own image, you know, and that's not where it's at, you know.
Well, they say that on Facebook we're only a black.
Huh?
No video? Because they said no video.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. Last time we had video.
Yeah. That's weird. Maybe it's
well, you can get us on YouTube.
Yeah.
Just go to YouTube and we're there too.
Let me see what she's saying. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to check up here. What's going on? Did you tag me on it? So I should have it on my page too?
Yeah, it should be on your page.
Let's see here. Oh, it says here live.
Yeah, and you see it?
I see it, but it's not moving. Let me see.
Oh, wait.
Did you tag me on it? Yeah, we're on there.
Yeah,
we're on there. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just something. Refresh your. Oh, she can't hear me. Just tell her to refresh her page.
Yeah.
Tell her to refresh it. Because sometimes, you know, it's all these glitches and things that take place. Anyway, gosh, we were reading a book, an ebook that I read. We're not just here to be born, be serving masters to Christianity or whatever religion you follow, and deplete yourself of everything that makes you a human, and you know, so that you can go to heaven. There's more to life than heaven and hell.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, there really is. And I mean, it's really fascinating because there are so many more things that play into our existence on this earth,
right,
in this present condition that we're in,
right,
than what we just see. You know, I mean, we're a product of history. You know, we're energy.
Exactly, and there's a reason why we're here. Not just like you're born, you die, you go to heaven or hell. No, but how meaningless.
I know.
You know, if that was the only reason.
Yeah.
You know, it's like an explorer going in to explore something, and all they went in there for is to collect one typical stone or something when there's so many gems and stones and things and experiences. And, this is supposed to be fun. And even in the hardship, because there are a lot of hardship, there is supposed to be a meaning behind that hardship and debts that we pay for many lifetimes. Like one of the actual guy, Dr. Wise, his son died at 23 days old. Right. He had some sort of anomaly in his heart, but his son had to come just for that 23 days to pay off debts, karmatic debts from other lives, from the father's other lives or something or another. It's all about learning and growing.
Yeah, it really is. And the book is available for those of you who want to read what we're talking about. It's a book by Dr. Brian Weiss, I believe, and it's called Many Lives, Many Masters. And you can
an old book.
Google it and look up PDF file or free download, and you should be able to download it like I did. But it's very fascinating. I mean, there's so much more to life.
Oh my gosh! Well, look, don't go too far. Jazz Jennings in the last episode, when the hypnotist took her back.
Hi, Teen.
Teen took her back to a past life, which was very, and a lot of people don't believe that.
I know they
don't. They rather believe the simpleton.
Their
simpleton, which is very simpleton. It's like, why would a creator just make us for his own little benefit and pleasing? And what, do our souls don't count? Don't we have something to learn and grow from and expand our consciousness? I mean, there's so much more.
The crazy thing is that reincarnation was in the old manuscripts that the Bible originally came from.
Yes.
But that back in in the day, this really great person, his name is Emperor Constantine, who basically gave Christians their current Bible that they call the Holy Bible, 66 books of carefully selected literature that he personally chose to go into, eliminated all references to reincarnation at all. And those of you who are students of the Bible, you do realize that there are certain things that were still left in, like when Jesus was transfigured up at the top of the mountain, and Isaiah and Moses appeared, like they basically reincarnated in the flesh, and they like recognized Jesus and stuff like that, and the disciples saw that. That's a version of reincarnation.
Exactly.
And it was something that has been lost and taken out for a reason, because these controllers of our current lives on this earth that control this world, through a lot of people through religious experience and specifically through Christianity that I'm talking about, they don't want people to be awakened. They don't want people to know the truth. I mean, for me personally, I was really pretty dead. I didn't understand all these things that have been shown to me and in the last 5 years, and I would never have known.
So Bela says you both are awesome. Thank you, Bela.
Thanks, Bela.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so deep, and there's so much to learn, and with our limited mind, or the state of mind that we walk through this earth with, under our five senses, we have to remove that veil, and remove that veil by meditation, by breaking the addictions that we have with alcohol, foods, materialism, just kind of like how you want a balloon to take off, those hot air balloons. You can't take off unless you start throwing off all those heavy bags.
Oh yeah, no, you can't.
So you've got to really, it takes work. It takes work, and then, but as the work is done, the awakening starts to take place, and you really start looking at things differently. Really not to take life so serious and always be so angry and frustrated, and and you just.
And when things don't work out the way you wanted to, that you know, that you can understand that maybe certain things aren't working the way you want it to because it's being engineered and structured to work, not just for you, but for other people to be affected.
This is all karmatic driven, and we all reincarnate around the same circles, and there are debts that we have to pay off and things of that nature.
And there's growth that needs to happen, and you know, I mean, it's really quite fascinating. And then I just read 4 chapters of this book, and looking forward to reading more about it. You know,
I've read it twice, and I still don't remember how I came across that book. But I came across it, and I'm glad I did because it was one of the many books that have helped me with my awakening and my learning of what I know today. And it's still, I mean, there's so much to learn and so much to
grow. There really is. I mean, life is so full of experiences yet to be learned, or not necessarily learned, but remember, put back together.
Okay, I'm gonna do this again. It's cool.
That's fair.
Here, do we? All right, not quite sure how this. There we go. I think we should be okay.
With that?
I don't know. I'm going to refurbish it and see. Now we're still in just. I don't know what's the deal. Anyway, no, it's no.
I mean, it worked last time. Right?
Yeah, it worked last time. But, you know, these are things. I mean, we saw that thing the other day. Let me see. This thing just still wants to. I don't know if it still says we're live here on this one. I just don't understand why the video. Let me try to do something up and turn camera. There we are. I think we're back. Yeah, we're back. What was I saying? I'm sorry.
Yeah, just the little hiccups we have doing live stuff. And we were watching something that somebody else did just the other day, and it was like,
oh, I know. It is what it is.
They have more of a budget than we do, so I think it's just the nature. I mean, like you were saying before, it's amazing that here we are in this modern technology age, and we still, it's like worse than it was before, because at least back in the day when we were kids and we lost signals for watching TV, you could kind of turn the knob a little bit and get it out of snow, and then be able to watch a little bit more, or you could tweak the antenna. And,
Yeah, now it's worse. I don't see.
Now it's like either on or off.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
No. There we go. And turn that around. And this one, I'm just going to kick out, eject. Yes. We're back here. All right. Yeah, it's gosh, the lack of information that people actually have is the limited amount of religious info that we're given. It's almost like just enough to give us a little bit of information, but there's so much stuff that we're not being told.
Yeah, Team says the Catholic Bible still contains some apocryphal books, such as the Book of Enoch, that are not in the canon, 66 books. Yeah, and that's true. And when I was a kid, I was taught that all those books were demonic, and that the only real books were the 66 books that
Of
Protestants,
course, because they controlled
believed in.
everything. They had all sorts of burning of books that they didn't want. Constantine took out certain things. The King James did whatever. Everybody had their motif and the reason behind what they wanted us to know and what they didn't.
And there was so much that was burned in like the libraries,
Uh-huh.
the Library of Alexandria back in ancient times and stuff like that, that were lost to our present day. Knowledge of ourselves, of our humanity, of our history that was taken away from us. And, I mean,
Yeah.
I would think that certain things are also happening in this present day in like Syria, where they've been destroying lots of antiquities and stuff like that to rid the world of any remnants of any past,
keep us dumbed down and to keep us, status quo, fighting one another, being materialistic, keeping us sick so that we don't reach the levels that we need to reach, because there's so much. I mean, gosh, from the time I was little, I was into like learning about telekinesis, ESP, without even understanding where I got that. I would try to move objects, as a little kid, and it's just stuff that's innate, and when you like remember when you go in. That's what I love about dreaming. Every time I dream, and although I don't always remember when I dream, there's almost like I come out wiser. There's something in there that's in my subconscious, and certain things in my living state or waking state kicks it in.
And lately, I've been dreaming a lot more than I had been, and I think it's because of the diet.
Yeah.
Diet really does do a lot for, awakening a person and getting the body and the mind and the spirit to kind of like work together. And I've been having lots of recurring dreams. I feel like I've had a lot of dreams that I haven't remembered, but there's been a lot that I've told you lately that I have remembered. And
there's certain feelings and certain, it's unexplainable. It's really funny. We went to see Star Wars this weekend, and I think Hollywood puts a lot of messages in the movies they make. And it's almost like they have to give us little clues, just to kind of, snap us into the awakening. And I mean, I know we kind of talked about it on Sundays. To win the war, you must stop fighting what you hate and save what you love. That's so profound, And then from one of the older Star Wars movies, Anakin, Attack of the Clones, attachment is forbidden. Possession is forbidden. Compassion, which I would define as unconditional love, is essential to a Jedi's life. So you might say that we are encouraged to love. And that, to me, is probably the biggest thing that we're here to learn how to do. Love.
Yeah. Anakin was the who became Darth Vader. He was,
So,
and that's why
even in Star Wars, attachment is forbidden. Possession is forbidden. What are we constantly bombarded with when we turn on television, when your phones, everything is advertisement to get you to buy something so that you can't go inwards. You're always having to seek outward, and then be mindful of your thoughts. The other day, I was listening to some videos. Thoughts could be your worst enemies.
They can be.
Because it's like there's something, this little inner voice that is constantly just trying to tell you all that negativity that you were exposed to as a child, from whether your parents, your sibling, whoever it is. It's almost like it plays like a recording in your head and creates a life of its own. Like it's a kid who wants attention constantly.
Yeah.
And that's why meditation is so important, because it teaches you how to silence the mind, how to stay still, how to focus on your breath, because your thoughts are always going to get you into trouble every single time. It's like that kid gnawing, mommy, I want mom. That's the thought, because it's like it creates its own self. It's like an AI that takes over.
Yeah,
literally.
No, I just think that we just are so dumbed down, and we exist within the realm of our physical bodies. And I think that I know I haven't done it myself, but there's even places where, in spiritual understanding, even Christianity, where meditation is encouraged, and I've been in certain states of that, where I've meditated and stuff like that. And I think that awakens your spirit,
of course,
to reality, and to focus on not on your hands and your feet and
or your
thoughts or your body, but focus on what is really in existence and has no sense of time or space.
Exactly.
And has no limitation.
It has no agenda.
Which is your spirit.
Yeah, and it has no agenda, and it's pure love.
Yeah.
Pure love. Well, one of the things we're going to be talking about today is, there are more transgender patients that are opting to undergo genital surgery. Now, when I transitioned back in 2003 and I went crazy and did the top surgery along with a hysterectomy, I don't know if anyone has ever done that.
No.
2-for-1 type of thing, 7-hour marathon.
Mm-hmm.
That's how crazy it was back then. And then I was definitely going to do the bottom surgery. But all the research...
22 surgeries that it takes for that?
Oh, I know. It's crazy. Look at the metalloplasty, and then I looked at the phalloplasty, and I was just looking, and I was just like, this stuff just doesn't seem like it's really... It doesn't work. You have this long dangling thing that you take up to, 14 to 22 surgeries, and you're still not right, Or then you have what you do have, and then they just a pee standing up, which they can end up messing with it. And I like my size. I'm not going to win in records, but the thought of whatever I did have retracting and then having fistulas and problem urinating just made me think like, oh, I know. But today, this day and age, there are more and more people opting for this, and again, no judgment, right? Everyone's entitled to do what they want.
Well, I know, but the dangers is that we see on a day-to-day basis people that have had these surgeries, be it FTMs or MTS, it doesn't matter, either one, struggling with complications.
Yep.
Decades after the surgery.
Oh yeah.
And we were talking to a trans woman, or we were conversing with a trans woman on YouTube, and she had it done like 30 years ago.
Right.
And she says that her hormones have flatlined.
Yeah, well, of course.
Completely flatlined. And, whenever your hormones flatline, that's a good way to become sick.
Yeah. Because everything that involves your hormones involves your health system. We've known a lot of people that have just even had the orchiectomy and they've never been the same again. My ex included. I have a friend, won't mention name, older person, had SRS and has been constantly either mentally ill, has been hospitalized, or has been hospitalized for now to add a mini heart attack and pneumonia.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like
the body starts to is unable to defend itself. It's unable to be at full strength anymore because now you've pretty much knocked down its first line of defense, which is the endocrine system to protect it. And the immunity system that is built into the body, and all those connections have been kind of like, it's like someone going into the operator's switchboard and pulling all the switches out, and it is something that has repercussions
always
for the rest of their lives.
And people may not see the repercussions right away, although some people, immediate after surgery, they have some tremendous infections, have problems, Even if that clears and they feel they're out of the red zone and they're okay years later, and we know people 15 years later that start having complications and problems, you're not some sort of potato head where you could just, Mr. Potato Head and switch and add and, and gosh, I totally understand why we want to do this. It's like I struggle with wanting to get back on testosterone because, God, I'm training so hard. I should be huge by now. But I know that at 53 in the years that I was on that thing, it's like now I'm adding 6 bullets to the thing. So I don't even have a chance, and wherever it is, it's gonna hurt me.
And you're a person who has lots of experience, and you know
Oh gosh, yeah.
all about the medical ramifications of what is happening to your body when these synthetic hormones go in. But you know, I mean,
it's not worth it. It's not worth for the aesthetics, for the ego, and validation, or what's the word I'm looking for? Vanity. You know, yeah, I would love to and I know that with the way I'm training now, if I was to inject testosterone, it's like I'm like, damn, I was on it for so many years and I didn't take advantage. I mean, I trained, but I didn't train as hard because I got bummed when I was a female bodybuilder. I used to train so hard and I looked so good and I was way bigger. After my surgeries, I could never lift the same. So that bummed me out. So I never really took it serious anymore. And now, you know, it's like I'm really pushing myself. And it's like I'm going, gosh, if I could just, you know, I would have had what I had then, but, you know, can't take, should have, could have, would have. Anyway, gender reassignment surgeries are reportedly on the rise in the United States, according to a major study conducted by the Johns Hopkins, of all places, University School of Medicine.
The researchers analyzed data compiled by the National Inpatient Sample, NIS, from 2000 to 2014, which gave them an indication of the number of patients seeking gender reassignment surgery across the country.
The NIS gathers data from approximately 1,000 hospitals around the U.S. every year, which represents around 95% of the nation's population.
Using the data accumulated by the NIS, the team assessed a total of 37,827 hospital appointments for gender reassignment surgery. The ages of the patients ranged from 26 to 49. The initial analysis of the data were carried out from June to August of 2015.
The author of the study, which was led by Joseph Kanner and Omar Hartforsh, published in JAMA Surgery, discovered that the numbers of patients undergoing genital surgeries has risen drastically in recent years.
During the 5-year period from 2000 to 2005, 72% of the patients who had gender reassignment procedures in the U.S. decided to undergo genital surgery. From 2006 to 2011, this percentage increased to 83.9% of patients. The team also considered what kind of health insurance plans the patients had. Of the 4,118 people who underwent genital surgery, 56.3% did not have any health insurance cover.
For those who did have health insurance cover in the form of Medicare or Medicaid, 70 chose to have genital surgery in 2014. This is a notable increase from 25 patients covered by health insurance who had genital surgery between the years of 2012 to 2013.
The authors of the study noted that it is extremely important that third-party payers, such as health insurance companies, enforce policies that forbid the discrimination of people with gender identity disorder. In doing so, this will help more transgender patients seek out the help they need should they wish to undergo gender reassignment procedures and improve the accumulation of gender identity data for further study.
In 2016, it was reported that the number of gender reassignment surgeries taking place in the United Kingdom had sharply risen. The number of referrals at a clinic in Charing Cross quadrupling over a decade. What's really scary, you know, is that, and again, no judgment, everybody has the right to do what they want with their body. But what actually, I mean, just because I take a piece of my arm, have the doctors try to do your arm, and then they do stuff. I mean, it's a lot of scarring, even your back. I mean, they do all sorts of rewiring and things that definitely never works right. They're always having some sort of complication, fistulas and things of that nature. So now I've got this thing that would be my arm dangling down my leg. Does that make me more of who I say that I am? I mean, I think not. I mean, that's what I really battled with and decided, you know what, I'm not putting myself through this. I had the money. I had a lot of money because of my business. I was making good money, you know, bodies under construction. And I had the money there and I wanted it. And you know the main reason I wanted it? Not for sexual reasons, not for anything else. I wanted a piece standing up. that was like my thing, you know.
You could have gotten one of those
I did, and they were disgusting.
No, not that.
No.
The thing that girl was.
Oh, for camping.
For camping.
Yeah.
Pee.
The thing is, when you go in thing and somebody's looking at what the hell is that, you know. But I did try the.
You just say I had my nuts blown off during you know, fighting in Desert Storm.
Yeah, no, but I don't care anymore. You know, it's like I'll sit there, I'll go to the stall because that's the only thing I could use. The only bad thing about that, if they only, and I don't know why they do this, one stall for men. Women get 2 or 3 stalls. Men get 1. It's like, what? Don't men have the right for their privacy? Then I guess men only use the stall to poop, which is another drama. Every time I go in, I have to either smell somebody's number 2, you know, or wait around till they're done, you know. So
that's one of the perks of being a trans woman.
Yeah, I know.
It's getting the better bathroom.
Yes, we get the worst bathrooms, and but you know, it's like I know there are people that feel they absolutely have to, but that's really feeding into the whole that if you don't have that genital, then you can't feel or express as you wish, and I don't think that people's health is worth risking.
I think if the genital is serving a function that needs to be naturally there, that, if you can do, like for trans women, if you can do something to not let it be such a hindrance for you visually, then you can do whatever you want with that way. But once you start cutting at it, once you start having surgical removal of testicles and genitals and stuff like that, I mean, you're risking your health, in not just like in the next year. I mean, you're risking it as you age. It gets progressively worse and worse and worse because you need that genital. You need that testicle in order to function as you age. And I know you don't want it. You call it a tumor. You say that it's the wrong genital and stuff, but it's the one that you were born with. Yeah. So it serves on your body, although you don't want it to be there. It serves a function. And, a sausage made into, it doesn't serve a purpose. Yeah. I mean, it's like,
it doesn't. It's just a dangling thing. That's why this quote, fighting what you hate, stop fighting what you hate and save what you love, Yeah. You can't keep, fighting City Hall. It just, I think that I found my happiness and my balance when I accepted that I couldn't change things about me as much as I wanted to be 5'10" or 6 foot tall and wanted to have a nice size, whatever. And, I can't have certain things.
In that book, Many Lives, Many Masters, the woman that he interviewed, she apparently had like 86 past lives.
Oh gosh.
She came back as a boy, as a girl, as a man, as a woman, and came back in so many different ways and stuff like that. So if you don't get what you want now,
you might get it next time.
You'll get it next
time.
And
be careful what you wish for, because you might come out what you wanted and then not be so happy about it, because the grass always seems greener on the other side. I think the lesson is to be grateful, to accept who we are, and it doesn't mean that you have to live the typical life of the gender that you were born as. It just means that try not to sweat the small stuff, try not to upset yourself and fixate yourself to the point where you drive yourself crazy and miserable and drive everyone else around you miserable too, because it's really not worth it. It's a hiccup. This lifetime is a hiccup. It's like, it's gone. Yeah. You're going to look back when you're up there floating going, oh my God, I worried all about what? Literally. So there's a transgender woman who has become the first in the world to breastfeed. Didn't you belong to a group a while back when some of these trans women were taking these stuff to try to get themselves to lactate?
From North Carolina that was like doing this scientific research, and it was more of a, like this brainy scientist kind of thing that was researchy, and they were like looking into combining this hormone with that hormone and utilizing this at certain times so that they could bring about, the natural. It was like this big, like, it's like they had a theory that they had written down. There was like formulas.
Yeah.
It was like way.
Well, there's a lot of trans women out there that are very brainiac and that type of, experimental and logical, and they become their experiment, and it's not even, and no judgment again. It takes all types to make the world, but there are some trans women that look at this very much so as some sort of experiment. Anyway, the patient was the primary source of nutrition for her newborn baby for 6 weeks. A transgender woman has become the first in the world to breastfeed her baby after undergoing hormone treatment.
The 30-year-old woman, who hasn't been named, approached Tamar Reisman and Zil Goldstein from the Mount Sinai Center for Transgender Medicine and Surgery in New York. She explained that her partner was pregnant but didn't want to breastfeed, so she was hoping that she could take on the role when their baby was born.
The patient had been following a feminizing hormone regimen since 2011. However, she hadn't undergone any gender-affirming surgery, such as breast augmentation, orchiectomy, or vaginoplasty. Reisman and Goldstein stated in the case report published in the journal Transgender Health.
Reisman and Goldstein, a nurse practitioner and a program manager, respectively, enabled the transgender woman to breastfeed her baby for the first 6 weeks of its life by inducing lactation.
The fact that Reisman and Goldstein were able to induce lactation without resorting to surgical procedure is extremely significant. Wait a minute, there's nothing like mind-boggling about this, and why should there be any surgical procedure? The ducts in the breast are the same in both male and female. We're born, when we start off, it's like a neutral thing, and men have breast, and the actual clitoris is what becomes the penis, and the ovaries drop and become the testicle. So I don't know, they're trying to make it sound like it's so
bizarre.
Like, oh my God.
It's like mammary glands exist on male-born individuals and female-born individuals. It's just that mammary glands aren't given that awakening call when the message is delivered through the estrogen as women, natal-born women progress and
their hormones are just right. It's like that's why a lot of guys that are overweight, end up having what they call man boobs because they become estrogen dominant. So as they become estrogen dominant, they start getting breasts.
And like weightlifters and stuff, they're taking lots of steroids and they get gynecomastia.
Yes. Unless they take anti-estrogen called Novadex to prevent that from happening. If not, they're going to end up getting breasts because as you put testosterone in your body and you put too much, automatically the body will convert it into estrogen. That's just how it works.
The patient was instructed to take 10 milligrams of domperidone.
Sounds like champagne.
Domperidone 3 times a day, which was obtained from Canada. She was also initially told to use a breast pump for 5 minutes on each breast 3 times a day.
Over the course of 3.5 months, the patient's dosage of domperidone, micronized progesterone, and estradiol was increased and decreased accordingly in addition to her use of the breast pump.
When the baby was born, the patient became its sole source of nutrition for the first 6 weeks of its life, as she was able to breastfeed her baby sufficiently. According to this case study, the baby's pediatrician confirmed that it was developing healthily with the help of the patient's breast milk. Now, I don't think that the baby really did develop the way it should have because initially it did not get the colostrum that it needed.
Right. From
that
the
only
mother.
Comes from a pregnant mother birthing a child.
Right. And plus, it was not the mother. There's some sort of connection there between the delivering mother and the child. It's like saying breastfeed some other lady who had, it's not the same because it's not the same. That connection with the child, DNA and the connection between the umbilical cord and all, it's just not the same at all. But, In 2004, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration issued a warning against the distribution of doperidone due to a variety of health risks. So now God only knows what kind of health risks that placed this baby in because they're consuming.
What the baby's drinking. Some domperidone. Reisman and Goldstein acknowledge that more research is required in order to determine whether their method for inducing lactation can be achieved without the use of domperidone imported from other countries. So it's just an experiment.
This is what kills me about the trans narrative. It's like we're all putting ourselves in danger. We're all guinea pigs. We don't know what the heck is going on. And all because we're too afraid just to be ourselves, meaning, being that whatever it is you feel you want to express, do it. But don't put yourself in danger. For it's just, and I would put that baby in danger. Why? Because
for the rest of the baby's life.
Yeah, because now that's been introduced in there. God only knows how that's going to affect.
Goes into the microbiome.
Yeah, exactly. All because the trans woman wanted to get that satisfaction of feeling that. That's crazy. So trans people have to face many obstacles when trying to access the health care that they need. With Reisman explaining to Romper in an email that previously gender-affirming care has taken place underground.
However, more academics are starting to investigate transgender endocrinology, quote-unquote. Future investigation will be required to determine the optimal treatment regimen for induced lactation in transgender women, Reisman and Goldstein concluded in their study. So, Reisman and Goldstein are on this crazy study that basically puts trans women and little infants at risk. And it's all for what?
Their own satisfaction, their own. And I understand, trans women have maternal instincts. They want to feel like mothers. They want to feel, that connection because it validates them more so, whatever reason. But gosh, please consider what you're doing. You're placing somebody else's life in danger and possibly your own, because now we don't know the stuff that the trans woman took are detrimental to their health.
We don't know the ramifications of what's going to happen later.
Yep.
With not just the trans woman, but with, more importantly,
the baby,
the child, the innocent one.
Yeah, it's the same thing when trans guys want to have babies. They've had testosterone flowing through their veins, synthetic testosterone. They get pregnant, even though some of them do stop the testosterone while they're trying or while their baby's born or whatever, or during the time the baby's in the womb. That's still, you don't know. You don't know how your DNA has been messed up and how you're going to mess up your child's DNA. We have to be responsible.
And it's understood that, I know that there's lots of trans women who wish they could have a baby.
Yeah.
And they're all for womb transplants in the future and all this stuff. But I would ask for all of you who do want that to happen to consider the actual infant that would be affected, because these things are not natural.
No.
So they will have complications, and every time it's done, it's always an experiment.
Of course, and we've got to be responsible. We got to get to the point where, yes, our needs are important because we need to be happy. We can't be happy. We can't make anyone else happy, but we have to be responsible in what we do. Like I mentioned earlier, I would love nothing more than to go back on testosterone, and feel that vitality again and all that stuff. But I know that, my logical mind is telling me, don't. Are you crazy? What, you want to shorten your life more than you already have? It's not worth it. So we've got to kind of really think responsibly,
And think about other people, not just yourself.
Exactly.
Because you're talking about literally, in the case of a womb transplant or something, an embryo of a pregnant woman being transplanted into some created orifice inside the body of a trans woman, and trans women. I mean, it's just
not the same. It's not the same. It's just not. you know, I think self-acceptance and knowing our limits and realizing, you know, reality of some sort. Then again, doesn't mean that you can't live your expression, but to be grounded.
But I would say, you know, for those that have those types of longings, be a mommy to, you know, a little puppy or a little kitten or a pet rat or something, you know. I mean, put your affections
Nurture
on,
your
you know,
the one you
nurture.
love, you know, put
Yeah.
just because that nurturing can be met in many different ways. You know, it doesn't just necessarily have to be the baby. You know, yeah, there's adoption as well.
But what happens is that with this type of longing and being able to actually, as this trans woman experienced, there's this sense of validation, and we have to think about why do we want that sense of validation so greatly? Is it because we love this little innocent child so much that we want it to live, or is it because we want our realization of us being actually women be validated? You know, it's like, oh, well, if they breastfeed, then they must be a woman. No, you're a trans woman, you know, and that is what you are.
Yeah.
So,
and the sooner we become,
we're hybrids.
As soon as we become at peace with who we are, I think that all that suffering goes away because you know you make amends with yourself. You forgive the things in life that have led you to the pain that you have felt that made you feel the way that you do. And it's just very important to do that. You know. Anyway, the next one is.
Well, and the next one is about trans women as well. It says fake doctors are still getting away with poisoning trans women, specifically those doctors that pump like silicone, usually from like a hardware store or an auto parts store and stuff, because the black market for trans women has always been around, and you know there are people, and mostly if you're not of upper middle class or you know white privilege and stuff like that, very common in poor communities, Latino, black communities, to try this option out. And as we know, what happened to our friend Raji, you know, these ways of going about getting breasts and stuff like that can be very, very detrimental.
Very dangerous.
Pump doctors aren't required to use medical grade products. Their silicone often comes from the hardware store.
Talia Casadin recalls the lowest point in her life. She was rolling around on the floor of a cheap motel trying to reshape the silicone in her hips. Casadin, a 36-year-old trans woman living in Atlanta, had gone to a pumper, a black market plastic surgeon who injects illegal liquid silicone to reshape patients' bodies. Her pump doctor was going to give her bigger, more voluptuous hips. Casadin was competing in a beauty pageant and wanted to fill out her gowns.
Now we want to talk about the hip thing because, you know, there are women right now that are in a gym that are wanting their saddlebags off of them. You know,
my ex-wife was one of those who hated it. And, you know, she kept like, Mark, how can you help me get these out? And it's not easy. I helped her do it because alpha-2 receptors are horrible. It's like you need to put dynamite to get that silicone, what they call cellulite, to get out.
And, you know, we have trans women willingly wanting to get their hips out to a form of you know, it's
and it's
Instead, she says the injection made her look like she had a shoebox on her backside. This actually is quite common, Casadine tells me. Pump doctors will even use rolling pins on smaller areas, like the breast, to even out a silicone injection. The hips are often so big that patients have to roll around on the floor to smooth things out. The moment Casadine had to do that, was a wake-up call.
I would imagine. And legal silicone injection is a growing black market industry, and one of that regularly disfigures and sometimes kills its clients. Liquid silicone is illegal for medical use in the United States, but it is prevalent in South America, where body contouring and sometimes medical grade liquid silicone is smuggled into the places like Colombia. Legal dermal fillers in the US are made up of collagens, fat, sometimes the patient's own fat, and the hyaluronic acid, all substances the body can recognize and safely absorb. The silicone is used in conventional breast implants is a cohesive pillow-like object that doesn't ordinarily move or rupture ordinarily.
This creates a misconception of liquid silicone as being safe for bodily injection. It's not, and pump doctors, of course, aren't required to use medical grade products. Their silicone sometimes comes from the hardware stores. Pumping is especially common among trans women, many of whom end up with lifelong health problems as a result. In 2017, Deanna Roberts was convicted for killing Atlanta-based trans woman and performer Letitia Shuntel, who died within 36 hours of receiving a silicone injection.
Roberts accidentally hit one of the Chantel's arteries, which caused the silicone to travel to her lungs, liver, kidneys, heart, brain, and spleen. Chantel died from a silicone polymer embolization. Even though trans women know the consequences of silicone injection, many still pursue it.
Quote, the first person who injected silicone in me went to prison soon after for killing someone. Cassidy tells me, but pumping can be extremely important. It can make or break you. I competed in pageants and was told I wasn't giving enough female illusion. 5 years of first runner-up. The illusion she refers to implies that she didn't look enough like a biological woman to the judges.
And that's also very misogynistic. How does a biological woman look like? Because I've been with a lot of women in my lifetime, and there's not two of them that were alike. You know, some women were like, others had a little more, others, it's like this is what's leading people to death because they want to totally like follow this cookie cutter of what they think a woman should look like.
Yeah, it's that it's that ideal that
exactly, and that's
they're shooting for.
Exactly, and then you've got some basketball players who don't have any massive shape. They're tall. If they're women, no one's going to not take that away from them. So why did trans men and women figure they have to fit this cookie cutter stereotypical thing? When it's, be your own woman, be your own man. That's the beauty of it. Ting compares liquid silicone to cancer. The worry is that silicone will spread. Some of the worst cases are where it spreads via the lymph nodes, where the silicones can wreak havoc on the immune system. That's what even happens with implants. Even if the silicone stays in one place, it can cause terrible infections. Quote, say you survive the injection and look great for years, eventually your white blood cell attacks it and forms multinucleated giant cells. He tells me, essentially the silicone turns into a tumor. We treat liquid silicone in the breast like we do breast cancer. We do a total mastectomy, but leave the skin and nipple for immediate breast reconstruction, Ting says.
Unfortunately, there's no way to remove all the silicone in a patient's body. Ting says he can remove most of it from specific sites, but with silicone's propensity to travel, he can never be sure that it isn't hiding somewhere else in the body. He hopes to perform fewer and fewer silicone removal surgeries as more trans women have access to quality cosmetic surgery.
I look at Raji seriously, and then sadly, I don't know how many years she really age because she is full of that stuff. It's like a walking time bomb. When the white cells go in there and attack,
Dr. Ting is a little
he's
financially
invested. Yeah, and I was going to say that's no better because you're still undergoing lots of risks when you go under the knife. If that had coverage, the black market and its ugly side effects wouldn't be a problem.
No, it'll be other problems, Dr. Ting.
Yeah, exactly.
Cassidy now has her own grassroots approach for stopping liquid silicone injection in the trans community. She educates trans women in the pageant community about the dangers of liquid silicone by sharing her story about her search for beauty and the terrible health problems she's experienced. One of Cassidy's biggest points is that for trans women to obtain the body of their dreams, they need patience. She says that mainstream medical care, even if it takes months or years, is the only way to go for body contouring. And I would absolutely disagree with that.
Yeah, I would take it to another level. Stay as you are. Work out, eat healthy. Make yourself healthy. Work on your mind, on your spirit. Be that woman that you feel you are, or be that man that you feel you are. You know, like I said, I would love to go there and like get all whatever, but is that going to make me more of a man? You know, or what's that going to solve? It's going to hurt me.
The thing is, though, that if there was a surgery for FTMs that would allow them to gain like 5-10 inches on their frame or whatever, so many would get in line. You know, it's like,
yeah, but what are the risks? You know, I mean, what, having
to
add
they throw caution out the door.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, you know, genital reconstruction surgery is very dangerous for both FTMs and MTFs. Yet, as we saw in the article preceding this one, that there are thousands of people that are going about doing this, and there are many doctors, especially in Thailand and other places, that are willing to take American money and Westerners' money in order to accomplish it.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's all.
And Dr. Ting is no different.
No different. He's like, don't go to the black market, come to me. Mm-hmm. You know, and they don't realize that a lot of people die when they go under the knife.
It's almost like a doctor saying, don't go to the black market to get heroin.
Come to me.
Yeah, exactly. They won't give you heroin, but they'll give you
something similar.
Maybe a medicated version of morphine or something, you know.
Exactly. You know, there's nothing more beautiful than the natural, and, you know, trying to do the least amount of harm. Like we've said before, if you have to do hormones, go in and go on. Take them for a couple of years. More than that ain't going to make you any more of anything. It ain't going to really change much of anything. Go in, go out, and then maintain naturally with herbs, working out, eating right, certain things, you know, and then visualize. Your mind is so powerful. You know, it's like one of the most powerful tools that we have. This is what happens when a trans woman gets testicular cancer. And that's, you know, from the hormones, the blockers, the stress, and all the things that is part of being trans. Bad things happen to us because of it, you know. Cancer may get in the way of Natalia Jeffrey's drag career, but it's not getting in the way of her transition. Natalie Jeffrey, an Atlanta-based trans woman and drag artist, made herself a resolution for 2018. She was going to do hormone replacement therapy the right way this year with a doctor. But, you know, no here nor there.
Yeah. Jeffrey performs Modeste Vulgaire, a ratchet queen with stripper couture style, living the EBT life. I don't know what that means.
That's
EBT.
Isn't that the food stamp?
I don't know what that means. In 2015, Modeste shocked audiences by coming out as trans on stage. In the middle of a lip sync to Time to Change by the Brady Bunch. Oh, it's time to change. Got to rearrange or stuff like that. Remember? You don't remember that? You don't remember them singing together as a family?
I remember them saying, but I don't know if I remember that.
Yeah, but Time to Change has got to rearrange or something. And Peter had his voice showing in the middle of the song.
Okay.
She pulled out a vial of estrogen that she'd obtained from a friend and injected herself in front of the audience. She made the statement that even if she lives off tips and doesn't have health insurance, she can still find a way to afford her truth at whatever cost.
At whatever cost. Yeah. By 2018, Jeffrey had run out of secondhand estrogen and had a choice. She could buy hormones from India and accept their risk, or she could give out a way to pay for mainstream medical treatment at the local public hospital. By now, she was sure of her dedication to transition. Life was looking up. She was finally becoming a woman for good. That's when her doctor told her that she had testicular cancer. Ironically, you know, it's like They hate their bodies so much that bad things happen.
This was not the result of her being trans or taking hormones. The lump showed up prior to her transition. She was 28, the age at when symptoms often begin to show on people with testicular cancer. It also happened to be when she committed to transitioning.
I had a lump on my testicle for years, Jeffrey says. In that past year or two, it got very large and even got to the point where I couldn't tut or drag anymore. But I'm ready to wear cat suits again.
Even though her testicular cancer may get in the way of her drag career, it's not getting in the way of her transition. As she moves forward with cancer treatment, which will likely involve removing the testicle, her doctor has okayed her to continue on hormone replacement therapy.
Which hormone replacement therapy agitates, creates, enhances cancer.
Mm-hmm. It's only contributing.
Yeah, it's crazy. Cancer in trans women and men is a mostly unstudied field. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's an area of knowledge in dire need of research. Yep, says Jess Ting, the director of surgery for Mount Sinai Center for Transgender Medicine and Surgery. Ting pioneered this new position at Mount Sinai just 2.5 years ago. He says that prior to 2016, there was no place in New York City, the biggest, arguably most cosmopolitan city in the U.S., to get genital reconstruction, aka bottom surgery. Ting says the medicine is just now catching up to the realities of trans health, and today's trans people are the generation whose experience will define the first wide-ranging studies of trans healthcare.
It's very common for patients to say they were on black market hormones for 20 years and only recently have received HRT from a doctor, Ting tells me. You went to a doctor 20 years ago and they didn't know how to treat you. They misgendered you, and many trans people avoided the health system. No, we were talking to that trans woman who transitioned years ago.
Mm-hmm.
She had the bottom surgery done, and she realized early on how bad hormones were.
And she's been to every endocrinologist, has taken bioidentical hormones, has done all sorts of things, given her migraines and a bunch of health issues.
But she stopped. Remember?
Yeah, she stopped. She saw that it was destroying her.
And now all of her friends from the past are gone.
Yeah. No longer around.
Very few remain.
I know that it's a touchy subject, and a lot of trans people don't want to hear it, but synthetic hormones are not healthy for you. Like I said, get in, get out, and can't play with these things for long periods of time, because it's like every year you're adding an extra bullet to the chamber. I had a friend who passed away who was under doctor supervision. A year into his hysterectomy, he died of a massive heart attack. Got into a coma, did not come out of the coma, and passed away young, 40-something years old.
And he was given heart medication.
He was given
blood pressure medication.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that happens with testosterone.
Right.
It raises up.
And they never made that connection or refused to acknowledge the connection.
They don't. That's we've got to realize that these doctors aren't here for us. They're here to make money. And it's pretty sad. In terms of cancer, is it my turn? In terms of cancer, Ting has to rely on best practices from other fields to treat his trans patients. There are no longitudinal studies about the relationship between HRT and other health risks, particularly cancer. Go figure.
But there are for women, which they say natal women shouldn't take HRT.
Yeah. It's been shown that HRT in cis women can increase the risk of breast cancer. But for trans women, it's unstudied. Wouldn't it be the same thing? And unknown. If trans women have taken illicit hormones, sometimes for decades, the risk is even more unknown.
Estrogen from India may be higher or lower dosage than indicated. It may be contaminated with carcinogens, or it may not even be estrogen at all. All of these variables make studying cancer risk in trans women all the more complex. In terms of breast cancer, trans women need to be screened just like cisgender women. They need to follow the same guidelines until we know better. At this point, it's better to be safe than sorry, Ting says. And that's a doctor telling you to go have an exam. I mean, it's like...
And one of the things I ask myself, if hormones were so safe, Why is it they make us have blood work every 6 months?
Or every 3.
Yeah, some of them want you to have it every 3.
You.
Yeah, if it's so safe to take, why are they so worried about a blood work? It's one thing we have to think about. For doctors, it can be a challenge to discuss cancers that don't line up with their patients' gender identities. For example, if a trans man has not had a hysterectomy, discussing his uterus and ovarian system may bring up intense emotional pain. We've got to these things it's part of, and he can't fix it. It was going to be something that was going to haunt me later. Ting says it's vital that doctors meet their trans patients where they are and be flexible with the words they use to describe themselves.
First, you should always ask them what pronouns they prefer to be called. Then use the words they use to describe their body. When in doubt, ask your patient, how do you want me to refer to these body parts?
Okay, Ting hopes that more money in research, or more accurately, any money in research, will get spent on understanding trans health issues. As one of the most marginalized sections of society, they've generally been ignored by the health system and have had to find their own road. For Jeffrey, this is all too true. She has no familiar support and is going into cancer treatment with the support of other trans women and drag queens she knows. While the cancer has not spread to her organs, it might have moved to her lymph nodes. That's not good, because once it's in the lymph nodes, that's problematic. She, her doctors, and her communities are trying their best to make it through this. That's all they can do. And they're still thinking about transitioning and continuing taking more hormone. I mean, that's the
and
kind
the doctor's saying it's okay.
That's the kind of, really, it's irresponsible.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people, my God, it's like, I'd rather be dead than not to live. But you could still live in the gender that you want to express in without hurting yourself. Not everybody has the financial ability to go have SRS. Not everybody has the health to be able to be on hormones. I mean, some people can even start it because their bodies reject it,
I hear that the numbers for people that actually get the genital reconstructive surgeries are very small compared to the overall population of trans people. I mean, we're talking like 8% of the population that end up doing these things. And, those 8% sometimes make it seem like, well, the only way that you're real is if you do this. And it's like,
what is real? What is real? I mean, it's like, God, the genitals are the same. The only difference is depending on the SRY gene, depending on the cascade of events that happen via the hormones. When a clitoris become a penis, testicles will become ovaries, or vice versa. But breast or breast.
But regardless, though, this person is getting a male body disease.
Yeah.
Testicular cancer.
They're not getting ovarian cancer.
Exactly. They're getting testicular cancer, or others are getting prostate cancer.
Yeah.
Because no matter what you do, you can't get rid of the prostate.
We've got to really, make peace, not war with our bodies. And, I know. I mean, I had my breast removed, I had all the stuff removed. But if you're gonna really put yourself in danger, I could have died in that operating table. I mean, my mom was sick from what my sister. It's like, who does that? Who goes and tries to get it all out now?
Get out of me.
Get out of me now. It's that OCD, that reoccurring, and we've got to be so careful and really weigh the things out, and just love yourselves, people, really. Most hormone doctors have no transgender training, and that's not a shock. What is transgender training? I mean, how long has this transgender medicalization actually been going on? Transgender people have been around since the beginning of time, but the medicalization of us is very short-lived. Hasn't been that long. A survey of endocrinologists reveals a glaring shortcoming. If you woke up with a throbbing pain in your jaw, you trust your dentist to properly diagnose what's going on. Odds are he's seen dozens of patients with problems just like it before.
But for the average transgender patient, finding a doctor with the appropriate training in hormone therapy can be a total crapshoot. Researchers at the Mayo Clinic and the Endocrine Society recently surveyed 411 endocrinologists, doctors who specialize in treating your body's endocrine system, which produces hormones. The survey revealed that while 80% of doctors said they had treated at least one transgender patient, only 1 in 5 reported having any formal training in transgender care. Now, I remember Dr. Zayas had a person come in, and a lady that was going to be working with her with transgender patients, had no clue, no understanding, no history, no training.
Well, Dr. Zayas didn't have any either. They just put her there, made her into the transgender. I was one of her first patients, and I had to educate her. I had to educate my first doctor. They had no clue. I was like, okay, because I do have a medical background and knew a lot about steroids and this and that. And I knew exactly.
And Dr. Zayas is a doctor that works in the South Florida area.
Share
resources in South Florida. And we went to a symposium conference for transgender healthcare, and she was teaching a class or a seminar on transgender health, and she was like pulling out notes from like 5-7 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like,
wow, that's a lot
of
yeah, it's like
there's
she really
so
cares.
much that has happened since then, but yet
they don't care enough to
do the research. They have these old PowerPoint presentations that don't really serve the community. They just serve whatever qualifications that WPATH had for, fulfilling responsibilities and obligations.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think she was also a bishop's doctor. So yeah, we've got to empower ourselves. We can't depend on these doctors because they really are not equipped to deal with our special circumstances. We've got to take care of our health by putting in the right foods, not drinking, exercising, really, taking good care. We expected an education deficit would present. However, the extent of this deficit was surprising, especially in practicing clinicians. Quote unquote, says study Arthur Carolyn Davidge Pitts, an endocrinologist at the Mayo Clinic.
Endocrinologists are the specialists transgender patients need to visit if they're seeking hormone therapy, which is necessary to develop secondary sex characteristics like breasts or facial hair that are more in line with their preferred gender. In the survey, 45% of endocrinologists said they typically see at least 5 transgender patients each year.
Oh, boy, fine. Yeah, the whole whopping lot. At the same time, only 65% of those doctors said they felt at least somewhat confident prescribing hormones to transgender patients. 31% say they had low confidence in the understanding of gender confirmation surgery. The lack of knowledge also extends beyond medical treatment itself, with 36% of endocrinologists saying they weren't confident in their understanding of transgender legal or social issues. Only 40% had their staff formally trained on how to properly interact with transgender patients. Endocrinologists who have had training continue to have a deficit in the non-hormonal realm, Davidge Pitts says.
One thing to keep in mind, the survey was on endocrinology fellowships, which is the last phase of a doctor's specialized medical education. Endocrinology is considered a subspecialty of internal medicine. A little more than half of the endocrinologists who had learned about transgender care received that training during their fellowship, with the bulk of the remainder either taking online courses, attending lectures, or working in transgender clinics. Only 4% of endocrinologists said that they learned anything about transgender health during medical school, and another 7% had some training during their internal medicine residency. That would seem to indicate that only a tiny percentage of doctors in other specialties learn anything about how to treat transgender patients during their schooling.
And what's pretty scary is that the surgeons that are performing these surgeries have very little training.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have the majority of them are how do you call it, gynecologists,
mm-hmm.
or they are the ones that treat plastic surgeon, or like Dr. Reed in Florida, urologist. Mm-hmm. The current state of provider training has a measurable negative impact on patient experience, says Lil Goldstein, the program director at the Mount Sinai Center for Transgender Medicine and Surgery in New York City. She points to stats from a recent survey by the National Center for Transgender Equality, which found that 23% of transgender people avoid getting the medical care they need because they're worried about mistreatment from their doctor. Among those who did see the doc, 24% said they found themselves educating their provider about transgender care.
As you've experienced, as we've both experienced. And it gets worse. According to Lambda Legal, an organization that offers pro bono legal representation to LGBT clients, 70% of transgender people say they have experienced some form of maltreatment or abuse, including violence, from medical professionals. Of those transgender individuals who have been refused medical care, 60% have attempted suicide.
If you're looking for a doctor who specializes in transgender care or know someone who is looking, start with the World Professional Association for Transgender Health and fill out a form that they have to find an appropriate healthcare provider nearby. Yeah, it's you know, it's one of those things that I know that people need to go to a doctor when they're trying to start their hormones, when they want to do what they want to do, but they have to realize that they're putting themselves in a lot of risk. A lot of risk because, you know, it's an uncharted, what's it called, uncharted grounds, or, you know, and it's people think that this is very advanced and the doctors know what they're doing, but they really don't.
They don't even keep a record of what they're doing. And to show you how much they don't really care about the transgender community, you would think that after, 30 years of having people transition and stuff, that they would have some kind of protocol set up, some kind of studies long-term following the lives of different trans people. They don't, because they don't care. They really don't.
It's pretty sad, but what I highly suggest, all of you that are thinking about transitioning or are transitioning, you've got to do your own homework. You've got to, a lot of times, we are our own studies. You have to look at, I know I've got a lot of friends, transgender friends, who have gotten very ill, from strokes to heart attack to death, to all sorts of neurological impairments. That is the studies right there.
Yeah.
That's the best study. And I know that's called something or another. What's the name of that? It's not really a blind group or whatever, situational, whatever. But it's the only really true studies that we have is knowing what's happening to each and every one of us.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on. You've been on hormones for X amount of years. All of a sudden, you got this weird disease, and your immune system is not working right. We are our own guinea pigs. We could only learn from each other and try to help one another best possible.
Well, that's the thing when it's talked about. I've noticed that with trans women, it's almost like a club that is not. It's almost like a veterans of foreign wars affairs. Club that if they go through the battle, they don't want to describe it to anybody else. Nobody else knows about it.
They don't want to talk about it.
They only keep it to themselves, and they're not helping a younger generation. Or, I'm glad that there are some like Marty on YouTube who does help other trans women and try to warn young trans women of the dangers and the pitfalls and stuff like that. And more people like that need to come out, and share their story and share what's happening to their body and how they're faring and what they're doing and how they're taking care of themselves.
Yeah, and be truthful. I know that a lot of people don't want to ring the alarms or sound the alarms, and but you've got to do this for, I mean, for the health of the future trans generation. Know what works, what doesn't work. If it didn't work for you, I know that not everyone's the same, but we all need to discuss our health issues, what's happening, and not get all defensive about it, because that's what tends to happen with, a lot of trans people. They become angered and frustrated and defensive, and they want to argue. And, I've got a friend who had like Parkinsonian type, effects from testosterone, and he's been attacked by trans men, because he's sharing and trying to tell people, hey, look, this happened to me, it could happen to you, be careful. We can't be so narrow-minded and close-minded to the fact that, hey, we are ingesting, taking, doing things to our body that is not natural. And be okay with it, because you want to live. I know that you say you don't if you don't get to be a certain way, but trust me, as you get older, you want to live. You want to be healthy. You don't want to end up, you transition, you did everything, and now you're sick. What good is that? I mean, it really solves absolutely nothing. It's like, develop yourself a little bit more as far as your persona. Don't make it all about the exterior.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much all she wrote today. We didn't have much interaction, but thank you, team, for tuning in. And I don't know if you want to say anything else or anything else I wanted to add. No, not really.
Kind of talked about the trans thing all today, and I'm still interested in that whole past lives thing.
Yeah.
It's really,
I think that has a lot to do why we are the way we are. I've always thought about it because we've had many lives, and maybe we didn't resolve something within that past life that we're still trying to resolve it in this one, in maybe the last gender that we lived. I would always tell my grandmother, who was a Jehovah's Witness, who was very anti me being, at the time, identifying as lesbian. I was like, Grandma, what if my past life I was a man and I still have that, that, I don't know, that feeling and whatever, and who knows? I think that has a lot to do with it.
Well, I mean, for me, I kind of like think of more of like some kind of a swap happen in midlife where there's been like a spirit exchange with another spirit that was inside of me before that, made some kind of bargain or a deal with somebody, and then we switched places, because just like your family, my family is unrecognizable to me, like in the sense of like spiritually.
Right.
The connection that I used to have with them isn't there anymore. So although the memories and the physical, ramifications of being in this body and stuff, I think the spirit that actually came in actually can recognize those histories, can like thumb through the books and stuff, so to speak, and go, oh yeah, that's when you were 5. Oh, okay. So it understands the physical.
Right.
But specifically when we went to speak with my mom, it was like she didn't recognize me, and it's like her spirit weren't connecting.
Yeah.
And it was like we were talking, but it was like there was so much like, it's like there was like a stoicness to them where it's almost like, wow, you're a stranger. Oh, you're a stranger too.
Yeah.
I don't know who you are, And then as the transition continued for me, I remember my ex-spouse was like, I'm losing you. I don't recognize you anymore. I don't know. You're dying. And it's almost like, I don't know. There's like something that happens where the person that you become sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes in my life, I know this for sure, it feels like there's been like a soul swap done. And that, there are past lives and then there are swaps made
in between. I was Googling some of that stuff, which I think it'd be interesting. Probably do some research and talk about it on our next show. But they're called walk-ins or soul swaps, or other things that take place for whatever reason, and it could be explained a lot of why we feel the way that we do, and a lot of what a lot of the older transitioning people experience, and I mean, we never know. I mean,
there's a lot that we don't understand, and that's the truth. The fact of the matter is that there is not a simple solution to, our existence on this planet, and it's not, and the answers aren't found in the Bible as people would want to find them, and things aren't as black and white as you would imagine them to be. And the things that you may be dealing with that you find no solution for in this life may be because of things that happened to you before this life happened.
Exactly.
And in order to reconnect with that and to make peace with that, you have to revisit that to understand that, so that you can get over and move past it. And that's where hypnotherapy comes in, and
even meditation, because what hypnotherapy does is it taps into other parts of your soul that you consciously don't tap into. And I believe that meditating correctly, really knowing how to tap into that meditative stage, could really teach you a lot. And if we could remember our dreams, we could learn so much from them.
And it's got to be like, we also have to account for the fact that maybe the state of being that we're in right now, this physical limited state, isn't really our actual state of living. This may be just like what we do in between the times that we really live, which is in that dream state. It's like
in that other realm.
You never know.
You never know. That's why we can't take this bodily experience so serious, because it's almost like there to put our attention away from what really matters. And he talked about that in the book, that he learned a lot from hypnotizing his patient, and all the things that it's like, wow, wait a minute, especially when he learned about his son dying after 23 days, and his father, and the things those ascending masters told him.
Right.
Really awoken a lot of information in him, because when you dream, you don't know, you forgot what you dreamed, but something during the course of the day triggers a memory that makes you remember your dream.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, I dreamed about. If you didn't have that trigger, you would have not remembered the dream. Certain things because it's all there, but we just don't remember it unless there's some sort of trigger.
I remember a painful moment in a dream that I had maybe like 3 or 4 days ago, that I was sitting around the table with family members, extended family members, and they're like, but I can't believe what you've done and how you've chosen to do what you've done. And I'm like, and your sister or something, and something about how good she was to you. And then I said, you think that is the case, that my sister was actually good? I said, she was evil incarnate. I mean, this person has been brought into my life to destroy it. And then they had to huh? Because, things aren't always as they appear. I mean, things that happen in our lives, some people that really have caused us to really struggle in our lives are really there because the universe wants us to struggle, wants us to work through it, wants us to have the problem so that we can rise up and go past it.
You can't run away from it, because the more we run away from it, the more confrontation it becomes. And it may not be with a particular person, it'll be with somebody else. So the bottom line is we have to accept, it's like take your medicine, that type of thing, so you can grow and heal,
But some of the reasons that some of our families don't accept us is because we're unrecognizable to them. We're not known to them. They don't make the connection. Their spirit doesn't make the connection with our spirit.
Thank you, Barbette. Barbette Bombshell says, sending you tons of love. Your voices are so important. Big hugs. Big hugs back to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's so amazing. And the more we become aware that it's not about the material of the body, it's a spiritual thing, the more empowered you become, the more at peace and at ease you become with yourself. And the more you understand why your journey is the way that it is.
And that's the thing that a lot of people that don't understand this, people from all over, society, Christians, non-Christians, or whatever, I mean, there is so much more to this than what you can even begin to imagine. And again, all I ask for is compassion and for just a sense of empathy and for love to be demonstrated, because that's what we're all here to do, is to learn to love one another. As we love, we want to be giving love, we want to receive love. Love is what makes this world what it is. It fills the universe with life.
Yeah.
It's the energy that we exist in, and that is the truth of what we're all about.
And I came from Attack of the Clones. She said it was Darth Vader. Attachment is forbidden. Possession is forbidden. Compassion, which I would define as unconditional love, is essential to a Jedi's life. So you might say that we are encouraged to love. I mean, that's what we're here for. And I believe that we are placed into people's lives for that reason, to teach those people how to love unconditionally. Because it's easy to love what's perfect, What's perfect is like, oh, I love you, everything's fine. You say the right words, you do the right things. But gosh, when that person rubs you the wrong way or says something that doesn't, fit in your paradigm, that's the time you show the person you really love them.
Well, the reason that, in that quote, that Anakin Skywalker, who became Darth Vader, the reason that he turned to the dark side was because he hated the people that killed his mother. And he turned in order to fight against the things that he hated. And the things that he hated were the things that he was going to be against, And it wasn't about saving what he loved at that point, which were, I believe he had 2 children that he wanted, that he was supposed to save.
And that's how you win the war, saving what you love. I mean, it's the easy, simple lessons, but we complicate them with our own ego, with our own inabilities. That we've got to grow as a spirit being so that we can get it. And that's why we're here. We're not here to gather a bunch of stuff and get the latest cars and gadgets and make ourselves all whatever. It's to learn the spiritual lessons, that are sometimes hard. Gosh, they're hard. I'm sure a lot of you would agree. They're hard lessons, but the sooner we learn them, the easier things will get.
Absolutely.
Well, I guess that's it.
What's for dinner?
I want probably potatoes with, make some hummus and garbanzo.
And a big salad. We get this awesome breakfast every morning. I believe that it's probably the best of the 2 meals that we have. Only because you make some of the most incredible oatmeal on this planet. And if people were to understand that oatmeal is not just a bowl of porridge, that it can be filled with all kinds of goodness and berries and what? I mean, you put protein powder in it. We do like a vegetable, what is it? A vegan type protein, plant-based protein powder, and it is so good. It's like we get to the bottom, and I'm like, oh.
I know. And I was like, and we have it for dinner too, but you need your greens, you need a variation. What I can do sometimes, not always, instead of making the ice cream, instead of putting rice and other grains in the salad, just have the plain salad, make a nice salad dressing, and then having a bowl. But that kind of then ruins the fun, because it's like you look forward to, after the workout, it's like the oatmeal and the coffee, like gourmet.
We get the coffee from the co-op and mix that in with the carob powder.
Carob powder to die for, with usually stevia, but we've got to use that, but we bought it with the
coconut sugar.
That I use, but that's not. I use almost like it's like a stevia to rub it in or something like that, but Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. Well, it looks like our thing is getting, yeah, because people, it's already by 34, so
Okay.
a lot of people are using up the bandwidth. But thank you, everyone that tuned in on Facebook and on, is this, no, this must be like Leslie. Leslie
commented
in one of our other videos.
Oh, on another video.
Yeah, but thank you all for tuning in, and we'll be back Sunday most likely. We're doing our little Sunday chat, and then our Tuesday regular What's Up with the Cummings show. Appreciate all your support. Remember to subscribe. Visit our What's Up with the Cummings blog spot. There's a lot of important links there. If you feel we've helped you in any way, we also have a donate button. You could also download some of there the music from the album Enslaved. There's books, ebooks, and things of that nature. Ebooks that I teach people cracking the fat code, and there's the Healthy Traveler's Guide, and all those links are all connected on here on YouTube, so you can visit all that.
And also, if you feel compelled, share the video that we do as well, and we'd appreciate that if it can benefit and help people and stuff, that you may think that it could benefit them.
Oh, there she is. Hey, how are you? I'm just getting ready to close shop, but thank you for tuning in. We've been live since 4 o'clock. Long time no see. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Kisses back to you, too.
Yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much once again. See you on Sunday, most likely. That's what we are. I'll be back again. Stay safe. Stay in love. Remember, don't take this life so seriously. You get all the gray hairs when you do, and you get sick, and you fall away from that frequency of love that is so important to be in. Is that loving yourself, loving others, and being grateful. That's so important because there are other people out there that may not have what you have, and you don't know what tomorrow brings. So, yeah. All right, guys, we love you. But remember to always love yourselves too. Good night and be well.